Oh goodness, I make myself laugh. What up? Hi. This is just every day so damn interesting. Like a really good book by a really good author when you are the writer of your life. And every plot has a rhythm. I mean, you'd hope so. Plot like dots on a line graph, or plots like points on a map. It's a plot but a journey. And if you feel the exact same way about everywhere you go, then you're not going anywhere new. And that's pretty fucking boring, I think. And worse, I think, is that it's such a, I want to say circular, but not like spherical. If circle is like a, and spherical is like a spiral, which is like a, then the illusion of the circular life is you go around this fucking circle and you think you know everything. And really, maybe you do because the circle's fucking boring. And nothing ever changes because we never change anything. So, of course, movement in a circle is an illusion. The plot goes nowhere. And if it goes nowhere, like there's no thickening. I don't know. I'm like throwing shit around here, but you get my point. I'm Elliot, and this is the way I roll spiritually. Goodness gracious. Interesting because, like, I would say that even in just my own experience throughout today, I have probably run the gamut of like the whole spectrum, yeah, of emotions or at least investigation to some degree or another. And so it's brought me here tonight, which is a little bit different. I haven't cast at night in a while, but a reason, of course, to experience so many different shades of being is to the end and for the purpose of my every fucking day, which is how to be more true and for my life, my very fucking breath, to be a continuation and a propagation of the truth that I choose. Because being cruel is a kind of truth. And I refuse to believe uh, that I live in a universe, even or an existence where goodness is the only way. might sound contrary to, I don't know, spiritual beliefs or new age circles, but I refuse to believe that because I want it to be my choice. And if this universe or this fabric of isness is intrinsically anyway, then fuck it. I'm I'm the percent of being that wants to not be that way. And not arbitrarily, but for the adventure, for the challenge, for the proof that not to like prove wrong, but to prove more right. It's like, no, actually, we're also this way too. And so I can, like, I can wholeheartedly admit that my every day has been like in my life has been uh, an journey, a quest for life to be better, for living to be better. And that wouldn't be my quest if living was okay. Like really, I'm confident that in other timelines, and I'm so fucking homogenous because all I want is to play, to ensure that the innocent are protected. And I don't mean innocent in some fucking court trial until proven guilty. I mean innocent in the chance to choose. And the rightness of effort equaling some semblance of freedom. And you know what? All that's judgment. How could any of that be arbitrary? You're free enough. Man, this world, look around, kind of sucks. It's crazy to me how little active agreement I've ever gotten with that kind of truth in others. It's like, guys, does this world suck? Like, why? What? Why? Like, do you agree with me that it doesn't have to be this way? But that just lends us right back to the beginning of kind of my jokingly wordplay. It's like a fucking lack of imagination. And in some beings' estimation, this world is like, and its lack of freedom, seemingness, seems fair. And the challenge being asked for by humanity, by like life, like loving, is the game. And you know what? When you look at it that way, can't it just in a little bit be okay? Can the worst of what we've experienced and maybe even still experience all of a sudden, just like that, be surmountable? Like we can do something about it? Like what we're doing is what gets done about it? Because the slayer of dreams is impotence. Feeling like you can't do anything. Only I don't know anything that is that can take that away. Like die first. If you think that there's nothing that can be done, die doing it. If it can't be done, or else what? I endeavor to die every day. Because how can I be afraid of nothing? And I refuse to believe in an isness where my best efforts to selfishly create more loving experience in my world, in my frames, that is going to lead me to death and then a worse place. And if so, then the worst place is where I'm fucking going. Because I'll go to the worst fucking place until I don't exist or things are better. Because I'm not separate from all this. I'm not of this. And as such, as an aspect of whatever the fuck all this is, if it's not good enough for this cell, then this cell is outbreaking. And the stars are aligning. None of us are alone or as alone as we can feel. We can be as alone as we feel, but we're not as alone as we feel. We're not as alone as we think. And we're probably hardly ever, never as alone as we ever believe. And isn't that a shame? A shame, like it's like, it's a shame as in whoever the fuck is culprit for that, like assaulting, should be shamed. Shamed. In truth, it's just tragic. It's like a really good definition I read of tragedy. I can't remember where I read it. It was probably in a book. Basically, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember shit. But essentially, it's like when like bad things happen, but when like a bad thing happens to good people, to good things, like sometimes shit happens, and that's just like shit happening. Sometimes it's like karma, and it's just the roll of the dice. And sometimes the outcome ought to be good. The odds the karma, all the influences, the heavens, the earths, the unders, and the throughs. Everyone's rooting for the good, and then the good falls through. And it's not for the fault of the good. And whatever contrary influences, it's entitled by reason and right of being. Tragic is like, there's no good reason. There's no fucking good reason. But it happened. And so when how I consider all tragedies are the misfortunes of love. And there's always something of value. There's always something to be learned from a tragic outcome. Which is why you die. Live in fear or die alive. And let your death be tragic. So the living can see a death such as that and be like, that's not fucking fair. Tragedies create life. And tragedies are born of love. So in this most interesting epoch of now that we've chosen to manifest, materialize, we're arriving at a time where like threads long woven are finally being pulled together. And by finally being pulled together, I mean in such a way that the entire fabric is starting to feel its tug. Like I can pull this part of my t-shirt. This part of my t-shirt I pull. This end right here, it's not moving in my eyes, but there are no gaps to my t-shirt. So even though I pull this, this one, it's moving. It's an atomic shift. But whatever. You tug a piece of t-shirt, you tug the whole t-shirt. And my insinuation is that we're living in a time right now where it's a little bit more it's a little bit more holistic. It's a little bit more full. And it's coming and it's happening. It's about time, huh? So I wonder, because you maybe would never know it, but I don't stop until I do whatever needs to get done to see through like my dreams being accomplished. And I might look back at my life at times in the past, but like that's when I was doing nothing. That's when I said fuck it, or I was just wallowing or disappearing, coping, medicating, whatever the fuck. But I know better now. That how could I not know that that wasn't the way? Especially when fucking TV was telling me that, you know? Smoke, drink, hustle, do nothing. and you'll be happy. Well, maybe they're right. Tried those things. They're wrong. Go figure. But in that same way, when you challenge and you test everything and you communicate in ways that you don't expect to be heard, you pronounce your creations to the very ether without reason for that to be anything except your own exclamation to space. And then space opens up to you, and the ether talks back. And it sounds like listening. So look upon the world, look at all the doings, and know that they're nothing. They don't move things. The world isn't the way that it is because people are picking things up and putting them down. They're creating electric cars or solar panels or wind turbines. We're going to clean the ocean this way, or let's fix our economy that way. I have no imagination for the bullshit that is fixing the economy. At least I could come up with some other like automaton type analogies, but that's so fucking farcy. And I mean farce-like, because I don't mean the language connotation, which I heard obviously when I said it. That's not the way things are made. That's not the way the world is influenced. That's not the way we create. But that's the lie. And how do I know? Because I've been there. I've been there, and where and how I have lived most actively every day, risking I've not even just risked my life. I have given my life. I have died. I have been like, I'm gonna die right now, but fuck it, like it's do or don't, and I'm still here. And if you want to believe me, then I invite you to, because there's more to life than what you can admit to just a passerby on the street. And what do we do when that is the truth? And it starts to manifest itself to the passerbys, and they have no frame of reference for which to compute this shifting in their paradigm. And you know what? They're the innocent. It's not anybody's fault, but for anyone that wants to choose to love, even if they didn't know that they weren't choosing that they were being kidded into deciding that their life wasn't worth anything because they believed in some authorship that was like, you are worth something. You're worth something when you get the job, when you have the money, when you have these things. And they're like, I don't even know. I just want to love and live. And this is what people are saying. And I just want to be accepted. I just want to be held in love. And so here we go. Get an MBA, or join the NBA, or some other form of complete and utter failure. As those lies continue to crash, and there is no upswing, yeah, because that's a part of the deception. There is no time as we move forward that's going to, like, there's going to be a reversion back to all that uh, denial and self-hate on a global and collective level. Because no matter how big we are, no matter how small, we are always just a thread. And the thread is always the whole. And the thread of the all that this planet, that this earth, that this realm, whatever the fucking parameter or border that you want to ensorcel. I fucking love that word. I love the way it's like you say it. I love the way it's spelled. I just fucking love it. Ensorcels. Oh, mouthfeel. Fucking ensorcel. It's need to enchant. And to like encompass and like bewitch. However you want to. It's like we are being moved with unto only better. And so the question can be asked, like, what do we do? How, like, what, like, how do we, what about people that like aren't, like, what, those left behind, like those that just don't want to join, or I don't even know, because whenever I tend to not encourage false thinking too far. And I've already committed, like, my wish for my life is that no one gets left behind. Is that, and time is an interesting matrix. It doesn't have to be everybody all now. And I least of all need to understand it all for it to be. I don't care. But what I do care is that I will know the truth. I will know if we carry on and it doesn't fucking include every I, every could, eventually. Because the truth is like an emotion. And so you can know it intuitively, and and you can know it for all time. Which is why I don't ask, what do we do to make sure that the most people are included. Instead, I ask, what do we do for the people? What do we do for us? What do we need now that we're remembering, that our eyes are opening, and that and like fuck, like our our bodies, our humanity, our like what we call capacity is changing in so much that like I every day in my body, in my living experience, kind of floor myself with what is now possible. Now, like, I'm not just gonna tell you. I already feel like I'm puking into the ether with YouTube. I kid. I already feel like I'm fucking running around buck ass naked through the YouTube. Is more what I mean. But to know answers to those kind of questions, that's like playing with me. It's like you don't get to play, you don't get to watch and play. Not unless it's two way, baby. But life's cool. I digress. Which is what brings me, I don't know, eventually to minute whatever. And be like, well, like, fuck. To arrive where I've arrived and to do what I've done in my passion and also kind of my following my own productivities of what I believe to, is kind of fun, even when it's like agony and maybe seems like it's their acts of desperation. And by this, I mean like my hunger, my thirst, my yearning for knowledge and wisdom, and every attempt at, at kindness. And like so, referencing kind of videos that I've made, uh, I'm not kidding. Like we are being killed constantly, and the methods are running out because, if anything, consciousness is adapting. Right? I don't mean actively like it's adapting right now, although it is. I mean consciousness is what adapting is. You know what I mean? But where do we start? I'll tell you where I end. Uh, just to live in peace with the capacity to make choices that are formed in reasonable consensus with all that I love. So, what's that look like? Land. How do we get there though? In a society where it's actually commonly held that anybody can own land. Like, isn't that really stupid? It's been passed on to me. I don't even know what the fuck that means. At what point was it passed on to you and not me? And for what? Whom gets to say? And then where does it go after us? And why do we get to dictate? Doesn't that not make sense? It doesn't make sense. Isn't it clear manipulation? It's clear manipulation. It seems like we should just be able to override it. Yeah. But do we get there already? I don't think so. I don't think the world's really ready for that. What is the world ready for? And this is where this is where like I kind of continue my exploration, because you can't solve the world's issues just by yourself. You can do a lot by yourself, I'll tell you. And then you can do a lot by yourself and then find out you never did anything by yourself. There was always at least one other person. And then it makes that's like it like turns the sun around. Anyways, that was just my own private but shared with you happy realization. Not in this moment, but if I just recall the realization at any given time, it feels good. The issue is that there's so much lies and so much laziness and so much innocence removed that we have a bunch of broken people walking around thinking that they're whole and are walking into walls. They don't even like it's not even the blind leading the blind. It's oh, tragic. And so to an end towards but from by means to an end that I've described, I offer to the ether my words, my resonance, and my sharing this vibration with you. Let's just like create some awareness around just how much we don't know. Not that can be known, and not even really that we know individually, but the societal lies. For instance, whenever I hear "I don't know" in formal, any formal expression of education, I roll my eyes. Let's take fibromyalgia. What is fibromyalgia? Technically, we don't know. That's shitty, eh? Now, I know what fibromyalgia is, but what's the use in going around telling people, this is what fibromyalgia is, this is what it is? Nobody cares. It doesn't solve anything. Let's go bigger. This is one this is one you might know. It's like I just watched something or read something. No, it was a combination. I don't know. I always read what I watch. They were talking about the ocean floor, mapping the ocean floor or something like that, because they can fucking sonograph or something. We have no idea what's on the ocean floor. And if we know what the ocean floor, if the proverbial we knows what on the ocean floor is, it's definitely not fucking on Google Maps. That's more common. Except we talk about like it is spoken for like we know everything. That's also what I kind of want to. Everything that I mentioned right now, what we don't know, the lies that we do, or it's said in a half breath. We don't know, and then they continue. Like all the laws of thermodynamics are theories, but nothing. They're just spoken to of law. Law of conservation, like conservation of energy, which in a nutshell is basically I don't know, it's all scripted to be so fucking confusing. Like energy in a closed system can't like no energy can ever be created or lost. There's always like it is always persistent. That may be true. It may be like infinitely true, but our perception of a closed system and the transference of such or said energies between systems is what's precluded and thus a part of the lie. That got a little technical. Let's get a little bit more easy. You know how there's like this iron core at the center of the earth? No, man, there's no fucking iron core at the center of the earth. I mean, maybe there is, but like, if there was like a piece of iron the size of my fist at the center of the earth, would that constitute as the core because it just happened to be located there? Maybe. But humans have never publicly expressed exploration past, I think, like, what is it? I can never remember. It's something we don't know what's under the crust. Plate tectonics is a theory. That's not that. It's like plate tectonics. We all know about plate tectonics. That's a lie. That's not a matter of fact. It's a theory based on the observation of like the mantle, which is again just like we're just talking about, like the crust formed by a layer of lava in like a sequential manner by which they could basically make up this lie. But plate tectonics, I knew that somewhere in my brain from a child. That's such a commonly held like Western belief about the way the world works, and that's not true. We legit, we don't know anything underneath the crust, not publicly. And like what little private interests I couldn't give a fuck about what they care, what they know, because all like I don't give a shit. I know what I know, and I know what I would tell you. But unless it's like it's like unless everybody gets the good, then it's not good enough. So I don't care if like anybody knows the answer to this or answer to that. I don't care that I know answers to anything. It doesn't matter. What matters is what the good that we can do together for it. Where's cancer come from? I don't know. Man, we can know things. Like, what's cancer? Cancer is basically the endless formation of cells. It's like the cell just wants to keep fucking growing and growing. It's like, so basically you're telling us that like there's parts of our body that get triggered into being like, I'm not gonna die. But the rest of our body's like, I insist. What do you mean you don't know? Our brain, the occipital lobe, is basically 4 lobes located near the back of our brain, to keep it just kind of simple-ish. And there are 4 lobes. 2 of them are associated with sight. Really, just one of them is associated with sight, and then the other 2/3, we don't really know what they do. But the visible spectrum, from fucking 400 and something nanometers to fucking 600 or 700 fucking nanometers or whatever it is, wavelengths. That's all humans can see. I mean, except that some people can see more and some people can see less, but like whatever. And why is that relevant? It shouldn't be, because only plants get energy from the sun. We're not plants. Well, I mean, we share most of our DNA with plants, but we're not plants because we're not green. And what's color anyway, but different expressions of light, which is different expressions of energy, which means like energy is kind of expressed in levels of light. Red being like having a lower capacitance for energy, and violet being a higher capacitance for energy, which means if we could receive energy by light, then colors would make a difference. But we don't receive energy by light. We receive energy by calories. It's a good thing calories aren't joules or coulombs. Oh, no, wait, they are. And temperature is just a mathematical formula expressing electricity. Did you know that the moon is in Earth's atmosphere? Yep. Moon's not even in outer space. And I'm not a flat earther, mostly because I think flat earthers are fucking lazy. And it's just a stupid name. And clearly just like another like realm of honestly just idiocy. Like, I don't know. Like, I can look up and see a mountain. So the Earth's not flat. Stupid name. That's it. And like the connotation of what? Like we're in a glass dome or like none of that fucking matters if we're not happy. So like stop the movement, any movement that just is demands answers from someone. It's like, well, you want to know the truth. It's like, figure it out. Stop being a bitch. And like, I don't know, try harder. Because I've disproven like enough of the theories of flat Earth, and I'm just a dude that doesn't stop. When I hear I don't know, but I'll tell you, we there's no like because and I know that because I haven't this body hasn't left, and as far as where my consciousness has gone, that's another story. But the sun, we don't know if the sun's made of gas. We don't know that at all. Now, all like right now, if you could see infrared light, you would see I would appear differently to you. Now, if you could see infrared light, but my webcam couldn't, then you would only see what my webcam could interpret and redistribute to your eyes. In the same way, those are all the pictures of the sun. Those are all the pictures of all the stars. Those are all the pictures of all the planets. So just, it's all theory. And a lot of it isn't even reasonable. And it's these examples that I use. It's like, but like, cool. But what does it matter? What does it matter here on Earth? Well, I don't know. What if everybody had a star? And that when you die, you embody that star, and then you come back, or you go elsewhere. Now that seems foolish, but where the fuck did you come from? Maybe I'm just making this up, but the point is there's more to life that you can feel. And there's nothing in life that is disconnected. What if plants get their energy from the sun and we get energy from the stars? And there's been a concerted effort to take our energy. And so they block out the stars. I'm not saying this is the truth. I'm saying it's important to release what we think we know. And in trying to like provide like a haven for truth in the world to come now, like a glorious fucking orgasm. Like, what's the welcome mat? To make a sign, just be like, we are electrical. Because even that is so fucking inadequate. In fact, to be honest, and I'm preaching to the choir, there's no preaching. What's important instead is, in my belief, in my like esteemed and like exhaustively or inexhaustibly researched belief, is we just need places and methods for which we can come together and band together to recognize each other. Because all that isn't known is coming to light. People talk about extraterrestrials in hushed tones. People don't believe in God. People don't believe in truly in something bigger than themselves. The most devout fanatics that follow religious doctrine are wrong. They can only be because there's no doctrine, there's no dogma to the truth. There's no strict adherence to anything except the truth and each other. And there's no shame, there's no doubt, and there's absolute knowing. That's the other lie. It's like you can't know what happens when you die because you're dead. You can't know God because like God's unknowable. Wrong on both those accounts. In fact, if you were to make a universe and you were a God making a universe, wouldn't you kind of create like a channel of knowing between you and like your creation? Or would you be like, I'm gonna make all this shit, but I'm gonna make it, oh shit, I forgot a way for me to know that they know that I know that we know. Fuck, I'm not very good at this. You know? And fuck me, maybe, there is no way to know about what happens after death except for all the fucking people that come back, that have expressed knowing about experiences after death or before death or in other lives and things like that. But they're crazy. They don't know because I have no experience. So that must be true. No experience. We don't have to die the way that we die. We're not as weak as we are made to be. Not everybody is like equal. Because equal is a lie. Would you say that every rose is equal with every other rose? Or would you say that every flower is equal to every flower? And if I like lilies and you like roses, does that mean that one of us is a better liker of flowers than the other? Beyond my concern, most personally, as like Elliot, this living experience, for my wish to be a husband and a father and a neighbor and a buddy, like that's it, like in my community. And gosh, that's all I want. That's all I want, but that's not all I'll do because necessity begs for those that choose. And what makes my heart both hard and tender is when I think of all the shit that the children of like this day and age that they breathe and eat and wade through as life, and how little actual knowledge, how little true inspiration is available to them, and just how like the education system is an indoctrination system, like it universities, colleges, like academies. These are all institutions of classist enslavement. Like this is just it. That's just a point of fact. And still, we put our little ones into it and through it, and and the children now they they can't be fooled. They're too present, just like we are. But like when you wait, when there's that much more shit that you have to wait through, it's like, man, everything really stinks. That was my kid voice. And kids want to learn. I know, because I'm a kid still. I want to learn. I love it. And what options do they have? Fucking business this, business that. Like, how's the 7-year old gonna pay me to get for me to give them what I want to give them, which is just the truth for their little 7-year old soul, embodied soul, embodied ancient timeless soul. How do we bring the good life to the children? Because I don't know. You can't look at me if you want to find someone that would rely on their parents, for better or worse. The only parents I rely on are like my divine source parentage, and by extension of them is the expression of my desire to shield the children. And there's more to know. There's more that can be known. But it starts with letting go of thinking that we know. And what I'm going to end on this note, because I don't think I know shit. When I think I know shit, I say, I don't know. This is what I think I know, because I don't fucking know. But if I ever get specific, it's because I know. And my know is never absolute. It's never the end of a knowing, because that's not fucking real. But I'm also not lying. And there's no deception. There's no embellishment. And when I'm hypothesizing, I express as much, because that's what being honest is like. And so I say, there's a lot that can be known, because I'm awesome. But only because I didn't stop. So anybody, I think, can be awesome too. And everybody can be awesome in their awesome way, because there's no such thing as a tulip, as much as there's a flower that's like only you. And you don't have to let go of everything that you don't think you know, but anything that troubles you, anything that you feel like you have to do, any pressure, any boundary, any law, anything that limits what you believe is inside of you, challenge that shit. And if you don't want to do the work, just go ahead and believe it's a fucking lie and go from there, and then do the impossible. Become the real you. The one you imagine. I'm going to put on my spectacles. Oh, yeah. was like, I thought I saw capital letters. Tammy, I fucking love you. Oh, I'm gonna dip though. With it to be continued. Because I don't fucking lip service. I mean, I do lip service, but I call that kissing. It's true. I'm really confident of our sorting out how we get to each other, how this next step that we want to be taking is community physically. It starts somewhere. And so if we can accept that it has started and that somewhere isn't YouTube, it's here. And and we believe the truth of holding each other forever here, then we don't have to do anything for that holding to happen between here. Just have to feel this, feel the truth of it, believe in our togetherness, and then just do anything that makes you feel like this. And then before you know it, we're all gonna be neighbors, yo. Before you know it, we'll have a place that feels like home. And all that needs to be is some place that we feel safe and protected by the truth of each other. And for all our living like challenges, trials, doubts, belonging, you won't have to be one of them. Because I'll belong to you. If you want to belong to me, then we can belong to the grass beneath our feet. We don't own the land. If anything, the land owns us. And it's begging for us to come home. I hardly need it to ask twice. How about you? Oh. Okay, I will. I will do that right now. I love you. And I love you. And I love you. And I really love you. Why can't that be true? Just let it. and then see what happens. Because you know what? The world is that good, at least. Yeah. And I'll have you know that it's better than that, too. At least my world. And I want my world to be with you. I love you. All right. Have a good day and a good night. Whoa. Namaste. Peace out. I love. Really, thank you for joining me. Thank you for feeling the way that I feel and for braving your own interpretation of love and what's possible. I love you.